to the rest of us, the idea that people who are born and brought up in this country would act as suicide bombers against their own people seemed, until that day, almost unbelievable. Was it something that you expected to happen?
From a case early in 2004, really towards the end of 2003, we'd become very concerned about third-generation British citizens who were intent on attacking us. And that remains, I believe, a very current concern as well.
The public are constantly reminded of threats and fears to justify changes in politics. In March 2008, Gordon Brown unveiled a new security strategy and released a national register of risks.
As the strategy makes clear, new threats demand new approaches. A radically updated and much more coordinated approach is now required.
Around this table 2 years ago, we were divided over Iraq. But by June 2003, there was in place a new UN resolution.
Before the bombing on the 7th of July 2005, the Iraq War was becoming increasingly unpopular. Tens of thousands of the British public were against it. The families of British troops would not accept that their loved ones were being killed in an illegal war. This new terrorism that hit America seemed far from the shores of the UK. But if Britain was to come under attack, would the public attitude change?
I think the fact that there was massive demonstrations against the war in Iraq in Britain, I mean, probably bigger demonstrations here than there were in America for it, because Americans kind of believed it hook, line and stinker. And it's kind of, here we're a little bit more clued up. We weren't force-fed so much of the ideology behind it. But I do think the 7/7 bombings were the kind of thing to sort of almost make it, yeah, okay, that's the reason why we're there. You know, look at these guys. They're part of this religious sect. They're part of doing this. They're destroying everything that we hold of value.
Conveniently for the Labour government, the bombings took place at the same time as the G8 summit, completely overshadowing issues of global warming and the African debt. Turning attention to counter-terrorism and allowing security and the war on terror overseas in the Middle East abroad to become dominant subjects.
If we don't do this, this is what's going to happen. Every day, every week, every month, possibility, you could be going to work one morning, bam, you're dead, bam, your children's dead. And that's what they did to legitimise it to people. These are poor countries, but they got one natural resource. I mean, one of the reasons why America isn't charged into Tibet and things is because they got no natural resource apart from dirt. Any natural resource like that is going to be the most obvious thing that people are going to latch onto with this war. But I mean, to sort of say, to bring it down to that fundamental level of it being about oil and weapons, you're selling it too short. And there's a lot more of a deeper potential theological perspective on this.
This crusade, this war on terrorism, is going to take a while.
Bush himself has used the words crusade within the aspect of this war. He's also said that God has told him, that it's the right thing to do to have this war. As soon as you start bringing in fundamental imagery like that and theological imagery like that, the boundaries blur. You get this thing of, it's not just a war about this, it's not goodies and baddies. You're bringing religious aspects into that war. And as soon as you bring that in, that's it. It becomes a crusade. It is a Christian-Islam war, started by Christians because of the threat of Islam and the fact that Islam is becoming a bigger religion. It's who owns what and who is there and who is the better and bigger religion. And, can Jesus kick your ass, etc. Oil, and as you said, we mentioned oil and weapons and that kind of thing. That's part of it. Regime change. Well, we know that's a laugh, that's a joke. I mean, at the end of the day, Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world, and Christianity is frightened. And the people in power who are Christian are frightened of this. They don't want to be hoisted out of power. They don't want to be sort of seen to be sort of on the faltering dead-end line.
We're fighting them. And one by one.
If you're a leader of the world and you know that your religious belief and your ideology is dying in front of you, God, you're going to do everything to fight the hell out of it to make sure it stays top dog and make sure you stay top dog and make sure your country stays top dog. America is a Christian country. I mean, Britain is a Christian country as well. Since he's resigned from power, Blair has now become a Catholic. I mean, the reason why Blair followed into this so much is because at the end of the day, Bush appealed to him on that theological level. He appealed to him as a fellow Christian, not as a fellow leader of a country, not because we were doing right, but because they both felt that they were fighting a religious war on the side of their God.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
National polls before 7/7/2005 showed that a pro-war Labour was sure to lose. The British government needed a pretext to join with George Bush in the war on terror. 7/7 created the perfect spectre to convince Britons to relinquish their liberty in the name of security, and the blame could be put on Iraq to legitimise the crusade and cash in on the $1 trillion oil and military weapons contracts, and ultimately to succumb to the New World Order.
Let's roll. He's the one that thought he was going to be the 20th bomber. He thought he could hide. But he forgot the greatest nation on the face of the earth is after him. One person at a time. We're reminded that we are citizens with obligations to each other, to our country, and to history. Said, if it feels good, do it. Now I'm embracing a new ethic and a new creed. Let's roll. Let's roll. Gun that could come in the form of a mushroom cloud. These are all issues we've discussed broadly and fully within my administration. Tonight, I want to share those discussions with you. Let's roll.